Hello, friends. On this glorious day in drink history, we continue our exploration of the Las Vegas bar scene with two extremely talented ladies. Emily Yett is the reigning Ms. Speed Rack Las Vegas and bartender at the iconic Herbs and Rye, and Juyoung Kang is from Delmonico Steakhouse at the Venetian, and she was GQ's most imaginative bartender in Las Vegas in 2014, among several other impressive industry awards. Together, Ms. Yett and Ms. Kang provided an inspired glimpse into the Las Vegas bartending culture. Let's do this. This episode of the Educational Drinking Show is sponsored by Junipero Gin, which is the original American craft gin going back to 1996 and the pioneering work of Fritz Maytag, which also makes it the gin of San Francisco. At 98.6 proof, Junipero is a bit stronger than most gins and perfect in your favorite gin cocktail. Good stuff. And now it's my great pleasure to share with you my interview with Emily Yett and Juyoung Kang. You're a straight-up gangster. You can do more with one functional arm. And it's so fun to watch, especially like climbing. You figured out how to climb with one arm and make it look as weird as possible.
Listen, we got to do things right. Sometimes when we can't do them right, just do them. Who cares?
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
Yeah. That's
so
words to live by.
Why don't you both kind of introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about your scene, your bar, and what you got going on, perhaps starting with Juyoung here.
Okay, well, we already said my name, so my name is Juyoung, again.
Winning.
I work at Delmonico Steakhouse at the Venetian. I run the bar program there. We have a lot of bottles. That's including beer. It takes like 2 days to do inventory, but, you know.
It seems to be a big thing. People are very impressed by your selection.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people come in, they're like, how much is your inventory? I'm like, you don't want to know. They're like, why? It's probably 8 times your cost. Right. It gets kind of crazy, but they're really impressed when they see all the bottles. They don't realize it's a cubby hole that's like 4 deep.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Maintaining that is a job itself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun. It's something that we have something for everyone. So
yeah.
That's what's great. We can actually give people what they want.
And is there kind of a deliberate vision behind the bar?
Right now, I'm working on making it more cohesive as a bar team.
Yeah.
I feel like that's most important than someone saying like, "Hey, look at me! I'm the cool mixologist. Like, I'm so creative."
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a team where we're so connected. Where it's like, if you have something going on, someone's like, "Oh, I really wanted to come see you." I'm like, "Yo, go see her. Go see him. He's cool."
Yeah.
As opposed to like, "Oh, I need to come see you." I'm like, "No, you don't."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm cool, but, you know, I got a cool staff, too.
What a great problem to have. And then contrasting over to Emily at Herbs and Rye, what do you got going on?
Listen, the infamous Herbs and Rye, the infantry. I'm the only girl there.
Yeah.
So you have to be a somewhat of a certain species to be there. Like, we're family. We will die for each other. We will do anything for each other. We wake up at Herbs and Rye and we go to sleep at Herbs and Rye. I love it there. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would leave for the world. It would take a lot to get out of that bar family. Like Juyoung just said right now, listen, if I'm not there, I have all the confidence in the world that you're going to go to that bar and you're going to sit down, you're going to have an awesome time, and we're going to take great care of you. But yeah, I love it there. I love it. You know I love it there.
It seems to be where the cool kids hang out, the bartenders and such.
It's the clubhouse,
yeah?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you find yourself there frequently?
Yeah, I try to get there as much as possible. Then people are like, "Oh, it's going to be a shit show," and I'm like, "Yeah, I might tag myself out of that one." But most nights I come in, of course, then Joe like announces, "She's here," and then the whole world will have to turn around to see.
We wait for probably like some of the shyest people to walk in the door, and we just announce the crap out of them.
Yeah.
You can't be shy when you walk into Herbs and Rye. You can't. We're gonna tear you apart.
Mm-hmm.
We love it though.
So I'm going to ask the same question to your colleagues when they come in later today, but Herbs and Rye is in perhaps the most competitive bar market in the world, with much of your competition having essentially unlimited budgets and all this extravagance. How do you guys manage to do something so special and distinguish yourself in that kind of a market?
I think it's simplicity, really, being the key. Listen, we do classic cocktails and we do them right. We're not doing 14 ingredient cocktails. We're not striving to come up with something that hasn't been done before. We're just concentrating on having a good time and throwing the best party in Las Vegas. We want hospitality to be the number one thing, and for you to feel comfortable and have a great cocktail and great food.
What's the state of the cocktail scene here for you guys as bartenders?
I think it's trying to grow harder and harder, and people don't realize how big it's getting.
Yeah, I think there's like a paradox sometimes where what people think of Vegas and what we are actually really trying to do. A lot of people look at it like, oh, it's Vegas, yardsticks, frozen drinks, this, and they're like, people don't care. But I think for being only here for 5.5 years, I've seen it grown huge.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I opened a bar with Sam Ross at Comsa at Cosmo, and like literally it was, what do you mean you don't have any vodka? What do you mean you don't have this? What's this like pre-prohibition stuff? What is this stuff? And to now everyone's like, oh, can I get an old fashioned with this? Or can I get, where the education went from like nothing to 100. Like, I mean, people know their stuff. And it's cool that it's become so progressive.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, even when they brought like Craig Shuttler from Chicago for Aria, and he's changed the scene from it being like just a casino bar to like, hey, we do like this really cool molecular stuff. And like your cocktail would change in like 3 different flavors in like a matter of an hour. And like just
whoa,
yeah, like I mean, bringing something really cool that is into large scale and making that happen. Everyone's like, oh well, we do it for like 100 people. We're like, we do it for like 100,000 people.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, okay. And it's like
taking high volume to a new level.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's like we look at it as like, oh, serving 100,000 people is nothing, but to everybody else is like, oh, that's kind of intimidating. We're like, oh, that's like a weekly basis here.
Right.
There's so many high-end restaurants. It's kind of boggling.
Right.
It's like a thing now that every chef needs to have at least one, probably multiple concepts in Vegas.
They're rock stars. They're rock stars. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Well, they always say like, if you're a celebrity chef, like you made it if you're in Vegas and Tokyo. It's not London scene anymore. It's like it's Vegas and Tokyo. Because they're like one of the, I think, and New York, I mean, of course, they all pretty much start from New York, I guess. But it's like, you've made it when you can go to that volume. It's like Tokyo wants super, super perfect stuff, and Vegas wants volume. So it's like, you got both ends of the spectrum, and if they're able to meet that.
How'd you end up at Delmonico's out of all of the fancy restaurants here?
It's kind of a funny story.
I love funny stories.
I'm a fan.
I was working at Boulevard Cocktail Company, and it kind of went haywire because it was like, it was owned by a really cool group, and then it got bought back from Caesars and went back and forth a little bit. Little red tape here and there, and needless to say, it was kind of annoying for me. I don't like being in a situation where I'm like, do I have a job? Do I not have a job? Why am I teeter-tottering? Yeah. So I got off that swing and went on to asking people like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, I'm here to help out. A little bit closer. And give me something. I'm like, I'm bored. Yeah. I'm like, I'm really bored. That's when Max reached out to me. Max Solano. He was the barman and keeper of Delmonico's huge inventory of whiskey at the time, and he was like, hey. He's
kind of a people's champion.
Yeah. He's like, it's kind of a sad story, but I'm leaving. I'm like, why? And he's like, I'm moving on to better things and different things. He's like, things that will fit more my schedule and what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, that's great. And he goes, do you want to interview? I was like, sure. I went. I was second choice, but I got in. That's awesome. I'm like, hey, it's always good to be second choice.
That's awesome. And the program already had a great reputation and something you were excited to embrace?
Yeah, it was already like all set up. It was champion. I mean, it was hard, I guess, the first couple of months or so, because everyone's like, oh, well, it's Max. I'm like, he's no longer here. I'm sorry. I'm taller and I'm a girl.
And
Way
how do
cuter.
you try and differentiate yourself, you know, in terms of all of these high-end programs with really fancy bottles behind the bar? How do you take something that's already really well respected and take it further?
I guess like the different styles between me and Max was that he had more of a classic older version of things, and I try to do more of a marriage thing, like bring in old and new and kind of put it together. I guess like a lot of people tell me that I always say like, hey, when this thing and this thing had a baby and that came about, that's what I do. And like that's kind of like been like my thing.
Yeah.
Like I'll take something I learned from like all my really good mentors I learned from to like something I read about that thing's really cool, and I'm like, what do we put these two together and it had a baby? I'm like, this is what it would be, and like that's kind of like where my head goes.
That's awesome.
You guys like living here?
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm from Southern California though, so that's not like Inland Empire. It doesn't count really.
Yeah.
Kind of like I was on the way here
Yeah.
essentially.
Are babies born here? Do they have maternity
No,
wards in
no,
the
they
hospitals?
don't,
They
none.
just import all babies.
Yeah, importing all babies.
You know,
Yeah.
like
to
the whole
Vegas. Yeah,
geese or whatever.
The storks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they actually bring them all in.
I think it's more of an Amazon thing. Actually, Amazon Prime. You
Amazon
don't want to
Prime?
pay for that shit.
No.
Yeah,
No.
definitely not. You're gonna pay for 18 years, right? Am I right, guys?
Hey, at least we'll come in 2 days.
How do you keep your sanity here?
I don't.
You don't? You just let it go?
I just I let it go at the bar.
Yeah.
Take a couple shots for net.
Yeah? That'll do it.
Yep.
That'll
I actually like to keep my sanity.
Suppress.
suppress it all.
No, I'm kidding.
And this might be the most cliched question you've never heard, but what about being a female serious bartender in this market? What's that like?
Dude, it's weird.
Is it?
I didn't think it was gonna be that big of a deal.
I didn't
And like when I started Herbs and Rye, I remember Nick Talley going, hey, Emily, I need you to keep this a secret. And I was like, why, man? I need to give my 2 weeks. Like, I need to let someone know I'm working at Herbs and Rye.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm selling the interview to Seven Magazine. Like, you're going to be in the paper about it. Like, they're going to write about it.
Whoa.
And I'm like, what? But it is, I guess, kind of a thing to be a serious female bartender out here. You just don't find it very often. However, if you really kind of dig through, you're going to find a solid group of ladies here. I don't know if you saw Speed Rack Las Vegas.
I did not.
The girls were crushing it. The girls were crushing it, though.
Yeah.
Like, we had a great turnout.
Yeah.
They have some great talent. They're fabulous behind the bar. They're funny. You know what I mean? So
Super smart.
yeah. You'd think it would be more of a, like, you don't find it as much, but they're quite a bit out here.
But
Yeah.
I think it also is because people view Vegas as, oh, the pool parties, there's girls in bikinis, and they think like that's the bartender we are.
Right.
And we're like, no, those are the cocktail servers.
Mm-hmm.
Girl bartenders actually is like at nightclubs and like day clubs
Yeah.
actually wear shorts because
We're the girls that you guys say, she's funny. She has a good personality.
Oh,
you know
one of
what I mean?
those.
Yeah.
And they go, but you're
Like, I had
you're
to
cute.
open a book.
They're like, oh, well, you're cute.
Yeah.
They go, you're cute and you're smart. You're like, what's that supposed to mean?
Yeah. No exercising for me or fake boobs or anything. Like,
No.
I needed to learn.
Yeah.
That's why I got in a flare. I got bored behind the bar.
Yeah.
I can't just serve a cocktail. Like, I'm a little too ADD for that.
Yeah.
I need more action. I need more.
So this gimpy arm just must be crushing you.
Oh, to the bits.
Yeah.
To the
She
bits.
said she needs more action.
Yeah.
I like this threesome we got going though.
I know, right?
I'm digging it.
How'd you hurt your shoulder?
I did a cartwheel into a pool. So that happened. So I like to do cartwheels, right?
Yeah. It's a
Who cares-
thing.
Who cares that I'm 31? March 20th, 2016 was my last cartwheel, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You're done. You're Rambo.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do that anymore. Yeah.
I'll always talk about the days that I did cartwheels, though.
Glory high school
Yep.
football days.
Yep.
Reliving.
Yep.
You should know that I'm battling a sprained knee and a sprained ankle because I fell out of a tree in Peru exactly 1 month ago.
That's a way cooler story than mine.
It I don't know. Yours was a lot more deliberate. Mine just kind of, I guess you can't
Like, why were
accidentally-
you in the tree?
That's the question I keep asking
He
myself.
was attacked by a spider monkey.
I was not. There were no. I even had a feral cat that I befriended at the time. And that's the thing. Everything was going my way. And it was my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of a perfect storm. But that's so irrelevant. So Speed Rack, how long have they been doing it here?
This was the second year, season 5, right? Season 5. So they did it the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And then every year after that, they were doing it in LA, San Francisco, more California on the West Coast. So to have them come to Vegas again was kind of a big deal.
Nice.
We were really excited about it. So
I think they were more impressed this time, for sure.
really, yeah, I think they were too.
Is that meaningful to you guys as female bartenders here?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think now people are like, oh, so there are talent in Vegas.
Right.
Although I didn't participate, but you know.
Yeah, she will. She will next time. I'll
Yeah.
push
Yeah.
her.
I'm getting
I'll push
old.
her, yeah. Cut it out. Cut it out.
What keeps you guys here?
Probably my cats.
Your cats?
Rent.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheap rent. No. Listen, when you find a nice spot, it's your home.
Yeah.
It's your home. You'll do anything for it.
They're good people. Good
Yeah.
good barbecues.
Our
Yeah.
USBG is huge, and those people will do anything for you. They are, if you are out of a job, you chat with them, they're going to find you a job. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not
everybody,
only that,
everybody chimes in finding a job.
Oh,
go
yeah,
here, go
oh,
there,
yeah.
go this.
Yeah.
oh yeah, and not to mention they're just great to be around. They're fun
Yeah.
people, great personalities. It's tough to find, I think, a large chapter of something, anything really, where you feel like you connect with almost all of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very few that you don't agree with or whatever.
So it's a pretty
great.
tight-knit community of
Yeah.
bartenders?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, I have friends in other cities who they're like, "Oh, I wish my USBG was that much fun." They're like, "Oh,
Right.
you have all these classes to learn." I'm like, "Yeah, we have one like every
Week it feels
yeah.
like.
Oh.
Sometimes we'll have like 4 times a week, and everyone's like,
Yeah, some of the busier people
Yeah.
can't make it.
Well, a lot of my friends also like I meet them at like Tails, and they're like, "How do you know all these people?" I'm like, "Oh, those are all the brands. They come to our city and they teach classes." And
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
So jealous."
Vegas is a weird city, you know,
It is.
especially if you don't live here. I got about 4 days in me before I start to get the fear.
I think I look at it as like this. Vegas has this like everyone's always like, "Oh, there are all these vices. I don't know if I could live in that city." I'm like, but if you live 20 minutes off the strip, you can handle it.
Yeah.
Was that a Fear and Loathing reference
It
right now?
absolutely,
I love it.
absolutely is and was. It's like this man-made, like depraved kind of just oasis. And
the
that's being
lizards, they're everywhere.
I know. And I love it and I hate it, and it's a lot to process. I can't
Listen.
imagine living. It's like living on like an airplane or something. It's just not natural.
Hey, but I always tell people, I'm like, we're growing. We're getting an IKEA, so we're still.
Oh
we're
my
about to
gosh, are
get
you
domesticated.
excited about that as
I'm
I am?
so excited.
Oh my, let's go together.
Let's go.
Let's get
Opening day.
meatballs there.
Oh,
You want to?
Yeah.
Oh my
even
god,
going
I'm
with
with
the
so-
with lingonberry sauce.
I'm ready. If you, Alan, if you were to hang out with us, like in our homes, outside of the strip, you would realize how huge this place is, how
Yeah.
huge this city is. We have mountains. We have some water. We have some water. There's things to do here that every other city has, and you'll realize that it is just another city. Essentially, it's not just the strip. Get outside of that, and you'll see that it's more normal. No bats, no lizards.
We get people that are just like, I don't know how you live here. I'm like, that's because you've been living in a hotel,
Yeah.
casino hotel for 4 days right now.
Right.
We don't live here.
Right.
See, if I ran over someone with my car and I needed to get away from civilization, I would either move to Alaska or Vegas just to like disappear.
I got a room if you need one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
too.
Yeah, okay. We got you.
I'm so fascinated by it. Like I really am. It's a really cool place. And do you guys really feel a sense of pride in terms of your contributions to the cocktail scene here and how you're helping it develop?
I think Juyoung here is like a major beast, and without Juyoung in Las Vegas, I don't think we would be as far as advanced as we are in the female bartending community. I remember going to the Laundry Room, our speakeasy here in Las Vegas, and seeing her behind the stick and just being like, who is this girl? She's absolutely badass. And all because of her wanting to get back into classic cocktails. I was already starting kind of, and then went to Flair and then went back to it. And she's an inspiration. She's wonderful. I don't know about myself, but anything that we back, we're absolutely proud of if we can move it forward in this city.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are you guys drinking these days?
My list is shorter of not. What am I not drinking?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any categories have your attention?
I'm a big fan of tequila.
Yeah?
Big fan. I could drink tequila all day. I love the taste of it. We could talk all about it, but I don't. We should just drink some.
I know a guy.
Do you
actually,
know a guy?
Yeah.
We know guys.
We know guys. I know a guy who knows the guy.
What are you drinking?
I will always end up with scotch. It's one of those things that I just have in my glass as a sipping thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, what's in your glass? I'm like, don't you worry about it.
Don't you worry.
But I would drink any liqueur, pretty much. That's if it's on the back bar. I think it's one of those things that everyone always asks, what's your bartender's ketchup? And I'm like, well,
she's like 99 bananas.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, I would try any liqueur to see how it flavors. And I know like some people are just like, oh, well, I'm not using sour pucker. I'm not using this. Right. And I understand why we won't. But I did work at a bar in like early 2000s where like pucker was a thing.
I could see June just being like, I'm going to chug this apple pucker. And then getting like white girl wasted off of it. And somebody having to hold her hair. And she's like, where's Brad? Who's Brad? I don't. Do we know Brad? I don't know.
But I mean, I think everyone always says like, they're like, you like all the Italian liqueurs. I'm like, well, I grew up in Philly. I grew up with a lot of Italians. And it's like just one of those things, like I'm starting to really like Sambuca.
Yeah. It's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
It's kind of refreshing. The bartender's mint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you don't have a piece of gum.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had delicious cocktails by both of you in recent days, and I really enjoyed your Vesper play with the hop head. It was absolutely delicious.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
This word, give me something savory. I don't think people really grasp what that means.
Yeah.
And it leaves room for error. So just like when you order a steak and you go, I want medium rare plus. No, that's not a thing. There's either medium rare, there's medium, guys. Come on, there's no in-betweens. You're giving me room for error. So taking the hophead vodka with, I'll ask somebody, listen, do you like beer? Because if you don't like beer, you're not going to like this, just flat out.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, boom, an ounce of that hophead vodka is all you need. Do like solid ounce and a half of that gin and your Lillet Blanc, gold and a little bit of thyme on top. You got a nice savory cocktail.
And it's a really thoughtful pairing with the steak.
Thank you. I think it cuts through the fat beautifully, especially if you have a nice marbled ribeye.
Yeah.
It's
So
also
good.
like a lot of people don't realize when it comes to savory cocktails, it's like they think they have to taste it. It's almost like they don't realize 90% of it comes from your nose. So
Right.
If you put like a rosemary or like thyme or like even a sage on top,
Mm-hmm.
or like even if you like make an infusion or a tincture and you spray it on top, and then people just smell it, they go, oh, I can smell this, and they're like, oh, it's gonna be so savory, and then they drink and they go, oh, it's so savory, because it's already in their head
Right.
that it's gonna be savory,
Right.
and it's like I'm like 90% of it's already in your head when you smell it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you don't even have to put it in for taste.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's already there.
Right.
Absolutely. And you made a variation on an old fashioned with Hirsch that kind of wrecked me in the best way possible. Can you tell me about this cocktail? Because it was delicious.
So ever since my laundry room days, people know me as the boozy girl. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like to do that sometimes. So I'm trying to do the complete opposite now. I'm trying to make them as lighter as possible. But I love Benedictine. I know a lot of people are just like kind
Big fan
of
too.
on the fence about that. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I love Benedictine. And I like using different things as bitters as opposed to like the traditional bitters. And I found coffee beans and like coffee liqueur to be that reason. So anything sweet from an alcoholic standpoint usually isn't as sweet as sugar would be. So that's why I used at Benedictine. I used a rum-based coffee liqueur as the bitters, and then I used a Hirsch small batch, and then just a nice espresso orange peel. Really simple. I'm like 3 simple ingredients, and there you go. I'm like, it's like an old fashioned. And then people go, you know what? It really is.
Yeah.
I'm like, and you're welcome to alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only dilution you're getting is from the ice.
What really struck me about the cocktail was the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
It was so lush and round and full, but it wasn't cloying or sweet, or it was just the perfect balance.
I think that's what Benedictine. I mean, it's so old. It's like started from like the 1500s or from monks, and it's like it's that thing that. It's got mouthfeel. It's almost like making a gum syrup,
right?
Without it, I guess, expiring.
Yeah.
And it gives you. I think most of the flavor in drinks comes from mouthfeel. We have a cocktail at Delmonico called the Piccadilly Circus, and I literally made the drink 2 ways. One with just the pineapple syrup, and then I made a pineapple dill gum syrup, and because I feel like it needed something vinegary, but I didn't want vinegar, and dill has a tendency to do that without it being at it. But that gum syrup made that drink so much more rounder, and it actually like helped the cocktail better than it not. Without it, it felt like it was watery and washed out. And just that itself, and then I think that's when I took into consideration that a mouthfeel on a cocktail is way more interesting than flavor.
Right. Right. I'm right there with her. When I made that Ford cocktail for you, that's my favorite cocktail in the world. It's a beautiful cocktail, and it's because of the Benedictine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes it like silk. Just too easy to drink almost. That's great like, substitute for honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when someone makes honey syrup wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, that was so watery. I didn't taste anything.
And with meat being such a kind of core focus of the food side of the menu, I keep hearing this theme of savory come up and up over again. Is that something you guys really kind of put thought into as part of the cocktail experience?
I feel like at Delmonico I have to.
Yeah.
A lot of people drink whatever they want. They're like, oh, I want a vodka martini. Like a martini and steak is like a big thing. It was like big in the 80s, big now and whatever. I think it's like synonymous with what steakhouse is supposed to be. But at the same time, it's... I don't think you're making a cocktail menu because you want it to be cool is sufficient as opposed to making it where it matches the theme of the restaurant.
Sure.
Because people are going for the restaurant. They're not coming to... I mean, I do know some people do come to see people, but I mean, if you're going to get creative, just be creative for that person. And I think that's what's cool. And I think like your drink as a whole in an establishment, when you're a part of a team, you should make it match whatever it is.
Right.
Are there any kind of creative flavors that come to mind that you've been playing with in terms of achieving savory elements in cocktails?
I play a lot with pepper and salt, just straight up in a cocktail.
Yeah.
It's surprising how big of a difference that pinch of salt, that pinch of pepper, or even going to the back and getting like a steak rub. Will do for your cocktail.
Which you guys know a thing or two about.
Not touch.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it makes such a huge difference, and it's so cool to kind of see. It's like cooking.
I think it's one of those things people don't realize. It's like some fruit flavor will enhance better with salt. Like grapefruit is amazing with salt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is lime and like cucumber. Like when people make a cucumber martini and they're like, oh, and they make all this stuff, and I'm like, I always add a little bit of salt, and they don't realize, and they go, oh, this is so good. Like you can really taste. I'm like, well, watery style stuff like needs salt for it to like kind of like I want to say it kind of does a concentration of flavor in a sense because salt absorbs.
You don't hear people talk about that all that much.
So like that little pinch makes a huge difference. Like and like a lot of people don't realize like berries and stuff like
berries. Those lush berries go great with chili. Great. I mean, look at those tamarindo candies. I mean, it's just like that.
Yeah, blackberries and blueberries go well with pepper.
Absolutely.
So switching gears a little bit, we were chatting before about brand trips, or rather, visiting other regions around the world. And you'd been to Japan, and you had been to Miyagikyo, which is where they make Nika. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience kind of going over there. And I want you thinking about a cool trip that you've been on, because I know you've been somewhere cool. But I got to hear about Miyagikyo first. Is that your thinking face?
I'm going to talk all about Delaware now.
Really?
No. I'm just kidding. That was a Wayne's
You're doing a
World
terrible job of managing expectations. Because only crazy things happen in Delaware. So Japan, go.
It was great. I mean, besides the fact that we had to get up so early in the morning to get the early train, because it took 3 hours from Tokyo to Sendai. But it was a bullet train, so it didn't feel that long. If we drove, it would take 8 hours. It was like in a small like farm area too, and it was between two giant mountains, and like that was like the gist of the tour. We come in and they're like, "Oh, let's go outside. Let me show you this thing." And it was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Look, we're between two giant mountains," and you're just like, "Wow, this is like so cool." And like the coolest part was he was like, "Oh, this is our water." You're like, "Oh yeah, that's a cool stream." He goes, "No, this is the water we use to make Nika," and we're like, "What?" Yeah. Oh. You're like, "Wait a minute." Oh, you're like, he goes, "This goes in, and you see where it flows. This is where we put it in. It filters, and we use that water." I'm like, wow. So it's like everything was like so resourceful, but at the same time like recyclable. Like that's just how the whole country runs. And it was great because like our tour was like very like I was saying earlier, like I was with a bunch of people that aren't really geeks, but they love to drink. So I have alcoholic friends. But like we had an interpreter, and because he only spoke Japanese, and I was like, if he spoke really slow, I understood it better, because I feel like Japanese and Korean language is kind of similar. So I understood some words he was saying, and like I understood the process of distillation because like we all learn it and stuff. But the only part of the tour that was awesome, and he was like, "This is the only part I'm gonna speak English," was when he was showing us a picture in the wintertime, how I think he was saying Nika's closed December, January, February. And he was saying like, or the later half of December. And he was like, because it's so cold up here, we get snow, snow, snow. And then, like, that's exactly what it said underneath the picture in Japanese, snow, snow, snow. He goes, "Okay, move on." That's awesome. He was like, "Hey," and then we got move on. And it was like, I was like, "This is the best." I mean, he just said snow, snow, snow. But I mean, it was like so cool, like how like it seems so old, and so, like, but it's like it really isn't that old. Yeah. Like it's the younger of the two distilleries they have. And but like it just seemed like they've been there for like
late 60s.
Yeah, and like you would think it's been there for like ever. You're like, oh, this is like so like authentic and so vintage like, but they're like, no, this is not the old one.
That's crazy.
But it's so cool like how like organized they were, and then he showed us like the coffee still and how all that's, and like he's like, oh, this, and then we were like, wow, and then they gave us a huge tasting at the end. Nice. It was like, oh, try this, and they had a new product that they wanted to put out. Which is an apple brandy.
Oh yeah, it's so tasty. What?
Which is like not gonna be in the U.S. for a while, but
we're working on it, because that's what they started making. Yeah. While the whiskey was maturing. Originally. But
like as like, it was one of the things they said they started. So, but they're like, we have great apples in Japan, and like that's what we wanted to do. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I'm like, I want to try this thing. I ended up buying like the small bottle because they only sell 200 milliliters at a time. So I bought that bottle. It was probably more expensive than the whiskeys were, but it was unbelievable because like people can, well, I'm gonna say a bad word now, fuck it up. Apple brandy, like everybody knows, like apple spirit is mostly known by Laird's in New Jersey. Sure. But like everybody else I try, it's like close but no cigar. Yeah. So like for them to try it, and I tried it, I was like, wow, this was unbelievable.
It's like a Calvados.
Yeah, I was like, this is fantastic. It's still my favorite bottle.
Outstanding. Yeah. What about you, Emily? Where you been?
Nowhere.
Delaware?
Delaware.
You're going to ride this one out, huh?
No.
I like the commitment.
Right? I just make up everything about Delaware. They email me, listen, stop talking about Delaware. My adventures are coming. Yeah. I haven't really been around too much, but I did have the opportunity to go to Mexico for the Fortaleza Industry Tour. Nice. And that was outstanding. Yeah. Not to mention I got to go with my good buddy Matt Graham from Herbs and Rye. That was also fun. Nice. He has this giant beard, and I packed some some glitter to put into his beard on the last day of the trip. That didn't happen because I don't want him to murder me. But no, it was fabulous. Somewhat of a spiritual like feeling to go to a distillery and hear the history.
Oh yeah.
Wherever you go, it's just such it's an honor to be in their house, in their
Absolutely.
factory, in their fields, and have them like really take pride in showing you their product. It's just
I think
it's great feeling.
You see the love for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you see why they want to do it.
Right. And it kind of makes you want to do it too.
Yeah.
Like
you're like, I'm just gonna stay and help you out for the first
yeah. You're kind of like, this is what I do now. Now I'm a distiller. I'm kidding, but yeah, no, it's fabulous. Not to mention, I love tequila.
Yeah.
And I can drink it forever. But Fortaleza is one of my faves.
That's awesome.
And to be able to go down there was really kind of a I don't want to say life changing, but like I said, almost spiritual.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You should go to Peru next.
Okay.
It's that good.
Are you gonna pay? We can talk about it later.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
I want to get everyone to Peru.
Right. I would love to go to Peru.
It's my spiritual happy place.
Is it?
Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
No trees though, apparently. Don't climb the trees.
No, steer clear of the trees.
You're
You
right,
can
right,
look
right.
at them.
Right.
Just don't scale them.
No, I get to go for Speed Rack to Ireland, so I'm really excited about that.
Nice. That'll be great.
So Jameson gets to take me
Oh
the
my God.
old Yeti.
Are you doing the Jameson Distillery tour?
I am.
The Bartender Academy?
I might be.
I just did that. It was fantastic.
Was it?
And what's next for both you guys? Kind of in conclusion here.
The world, I think.
The world?
Right?
The world awaits.
I like to leave the world to you.
Fine. All this weight.
No, I don't know. I think my next move, I want to open my own spot.
Yeah?
I think that
Here in Vegas?
I have an opportunity to do something here.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a big restaurant I really want to open, but I feel like it's more a something that needs to be settled near where there's a lot of farms. So I might have to do that somewhere else. And this is an idea that I've been having since, I don't know, since the day I was in this industry, I guess. I just kind of like revamped it over and over again all this time for how long I've been doing this? For almost 17 years. So I've been spewing it. So it's I think it's good, like the most perfect plan of restaurant that it could be. I've had people say like, why open a restaurant when you can open a bar and make more money? And I said, because I love food.
Right.
I was like,
who doesn't love a nice cocktail with food?
So I just think it's the core center of people living life. I think life sucks without food and drinks. And
It does.
And you just need it. It's a survival thing. It's like you need food to survive. And it's like a teaching thing, I think, at the same time. It's like a lot of people always like, oh, I want to go and move on the next thing, be the best, be this. It's like, no, take the time, chill out, enjoy that bacon, and sip the scotch.
Right.
It's just
bacon and scotch.
It's just one of those things I feel like a lot of people need to take time and think about.
Yeah.
It's like if you need to start over, quit everything, start over.
Right.
I did.
Right.
And yeah.
Well said.
I've been looking at different avenues. I personally feel for myself that I have an expiration date as a bartender.
Mm-hmm.
And so that being said, I'm looking at different avenues that bartending takes you into. I just started writing for this little magazine called The Shift Drink. And how fun was that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's a niche there. And so that may be an avenue.
Very cool.
That
I'm
was
not
a really funny article.
Thank you.
What was it about?
It was about shaving my mixology mustache off and not being too pretentious about our scene here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the type of person who will make a nice cocktail for a prestigious competition and put Capri Sun syrup in it.
Please tell me that's true.
It's true. I did it for Bombay Sapphires at MIP.
Love Capri Sun.
Hey,
Right?
you made it to the top.
Right? It was delicious, and I will stand by it. I wanted to call the cocktail no comma, no comma, no comma, that's mommy's juice, but I didn't. I didn't.
How do you make Capri Sun syrup?
You just reduce it, but
Yeah.
you have to have the right flavor of Capri
I was gonna
Sun.
ask.
Yeah.
I'm a Pacific Cooler guy myself.
It's a tropical punch.
Oh,
Yeah.
they don't all work.
No, they don't. Absolutely not. Tropical punch will give you like this like explosion of flavor, and you only need like an eighth of an ounce. Like, it's super thick. Again, mouthfeel, very Benedictine like.
Love tropical punch.
I'm no monk, but yeah. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But like I said, writing is really cool. And like, I just love taking everybody and going, hey, it's not that serious. It can be funny, you know, bring it down a notch. Like, let's just relax, have a cocktail. If it's fun, it's fun. You're having a great time. That's what it's all about.
Well, why work if you're not laughing?
Boom.
And I say this with all sincerity. Well, first of all, if there's been a common theme on this podcast, and we've done almost 20 episodes now, it's hospitality. And it's so cool to see that we've moved beyond not making terrible drinks anymore. And that's kind of expected almost. And now it's about great hospitality to go with the quality drinks. And I really felt that hospitality at two very different bars that you guys are running. Yours is so much, it feels a lot looser, a bit more casual, and, you know, much more fine dining at Delmonico's, but both of them had this great sense of hospitality. So congratulations on that, because it doesn't happen on accident, you know?
Thank you.
Thanks.
We work hard to do it, you know?
It's obvious. It
And we
really
love
comes
it.
across.
Well, I think also the hospitality, it's like everyone's always said like, oh, you got to work on hospitality. You don't work on it. You just are.
You have
Yeah.
it.
It's like, if you don't have it, then don't be in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there are people that serve and there are people that become served.
You're served.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think like it is true. Like, we are moving into this thing where everyone became super geeky about like, oh, well, look at how creative I can get. Look what I can make. And,
Yeah.
like, look what I can do. And it's like, okay, we saw what you can do, but you didn't make me feel comfortable to drink it. So
Yeah.
no matter how fantastic, over mind blowing, and like life changing this cocktail was,
Do I want to stay at your bar for another
Yeah.
cocktail?
like,
yeah.
I felt super uncomfortable. So now why am I here?
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, this drink made me have an orgasm, but now I don't want to stay here.
Right. And especially like people don't realize we deal with people from all over the world.
Yep.
They're traveling. Let's make them feel at home.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Like in your own city, you're having people that live right around the block, and sure, we get that as well. But we have more of a vast number of people that are feeling a bit weird, like you said, like, or seeing the lizards and
Yeah.
getting the fear.
Yeah.
You know, we got to make them feel comfortable.
But people.
Yeah, the people, not the lizards. The
Exactly.
People.
And it's like, I think it's different walks of life too. Like, we're getting people from all over the country.
Right.
And their idea of hospitality is completely different. And we have to understand and know, like, oh, so you're from a country where it's more quiet service, or you're from a country where it's really loud service, or you're from a country where we all laugh. And like, you have to know that.
June, I got a question for you.
Oh, I like this.
Oh,
have
Emily,
you
yes.
have you ever come across somebody that was you weren't sure where they were from? They had a little bit different like mannerisms, and their idea of hospitality was much different than yours. And in your head, you're going, I don't like these people at all. I can't connect with them. And then by the end of their experience, you absolutely adored them. Did you ever have anything like that?
I think all the time.
Really?
I have this one girl I work with right now. We basically play ping pong. So if I can't take care of the guests in the beginning, she will.
Boom.
And she'll
Yeah,
be
we
like-
all do
she'll be
that.
like, I can't do that anymore, and then I go finish them off, and it's like kind of that sounds
Finish it.
kind of sounded funny there, but
I go and I finish them off because I know hospitality.
but it's like, I think like when there's like difficult guests and stuff, it's like it's the taking them in strides in a sense.
Right.
So it's like, if you have that teammate on your team that can actually help you with that, it's great.
Right.
And I think that's where it allows us to give them a better hospitality treatment in a sense.
Right.
Instead of like, you're like, oh great, I'm the only one here, I don't know how to handle this person.
Right.
You're like, I don't know what to do, and you're like super stressed out about it. Because
I
think making people happy is like a stressful thing.
Right. We morph into whatever we think you want. And
Yeah.
like sometimes people are a little more difficult than you're used to handling. And I've noticed, like, you find in Vegas, you start to go, this girl's Bulgarian. Like, I know what she wants. You know what I mean? She's going to be super, super aggressive with me at first, and then we're going to be best friends by the end of this. You know what I mean? And she's going to Facebook me. She's probably going to message me too. You know what I mean?
And stalk you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's going to ask me to sleep with her husband. Wait, that didn't happen.
But I have to say, you always know the one type of people that come to your bar and you know who they are, and they're the New Yorkers. You will always know them.
What are the tells?
We love those. We love those New Yorkers.
They're slightly loud. They're very opinionated, and they know exactly what they want, and they want it now.
Yep.
Sounds like every girl in my marketing department. And I don't think any of them are from New York. Well, one is.
A lot of, and like they're very precise on what they're like. They go, oh, well, that guy got more vodka than me. No, he didn't. I measured it out. The base of this glass is a little bit bigger, and like they'll consistently like.
That's when you just take a shot and go, here. No, I'm joking.
They persist, and then you look at them and go, do you want your Bloody Mary or not?
Ooh, Bloody Mary sounds good.
But with New Yorkers, you can kind of do that because they're used to their bartenders doing the same thing. So they're like, oh, no, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to make sure you're like, you know, tipsy, drunk, or however you want to be in that state. You know, I'm trying to get you there.
I'm trying to take you to places.
Stop me from doing this. I was like, no, I thought you wanted to go there. And it's like, I think from there, you realize like everybody else.
Yeah.
And you figure it out.
Yeah.
But I know, like, I've had bartenders where they prejudge on everyone. Like, ahead of time. They're like, oh, well.
Well, you almost kind of have to. You have to anticipate what you're getting into. Yeah. And, you know, we get it wrong all the time, and we get it right all the time. But Vegas, we just get such a plethora of different styles of people that it's almost like, I think, as being in hospitality, to work in Las Vegas is a great training course almost. Just to deal with, like, you have to explain so much more than you would at in your own city per se. Because maybe, well, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, it's one of those things that they always say, like, if you're in Vegas for more than a year, you made it.
Right?
It is, because, like, I know people.
Is that the drop off?
I think so, because some people come in and go, oh, I can't do it anymore. And like they leave, and like they're here for like a year or two and they leave. Because like they just couldn't get it, they couldn't understand it, they couldn't get in it. And we're not saying they're not good at what they do, but they're like, you know, I just couldn't fit in, I couldn't get it, and like I don't know.
So you have like a battle hardened core.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like it's one of those things, like you kind of create a family in Vegas, and when some people can't feel like they're like, oh, I'm the stepchild, like no one likes me, then they kind of just leave, not realizing that it takes some time for people to like warm up to you here.
Sure, yeah. And that's what's cool too, is all the people that are left are cool.
Yeah.
They're badass because they made it
So
that
Darwinian.
6 months. Yeah, right. They made it the 6 months. Sweet.
Weed out the weaklings.
Right. I'm gonna ask her to lunch. She's cool. She's here. She's been here for 6 months.
Well, I think you guys are both certainly part of that core, and your reputations precede you, and I think Vegas is very, very lucky to have you. So thank you for taking the time to share some of your stories and chat.